But the guy who sold to me said, you know, it flies like this. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But you know what? That's the best model plane I've ever had.
Wow, most impressive.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Oh, we started already? Okay.
Is it filming? Oh, yeah. Okay, good.
Okay. Re-Animator. Pretty good.
Great horror series. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Re-Animator trilogy today, and I think this is like the second time that we've discussed a popular horror franchise. The first being, you know, the Evil Dead trilogy and the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV series.
And if you want to add in Dracula when we did our first video.
Yeah, Dracula and Frankenstein.
And then our Christopher Lee video.
Yeah. So it's not our first horror video, but check out our video on the Evil Dead series if you haven't already. But today we're going to talk about Re-Animator, all three movies, the original, Bride of Re-Animator, and Beyond Re-Animator. Pretty solid trilogy. I just reviewed Bride of Re-Animator not too long ago, and I reviewed the original Re-Animator a while back when I first started this channel, and I'll get to Beyond Re-Animator eventually too.
I do like how the movies, well, the first two movies, took like the stuff from the original H.P. Lovecraft story and like stretched it out. Now the first one takes the first like, I want to say 3 chapters. The next one does the next 3, but like kind of mixes it up a little bit and changes the ending of it to where like instead of like he's just arrested at the end and not killed or dragged off, or it's stupid.
Yeah,
the third one's its own thing.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, these films differ greatly from the source material. The H.P. Lovecraft, the original story, which is ingenious, by the way. H.P. Lovecraft was, incredible. These are kind of more like gory, like over the top, really fun, entertaining, typical '80s, horror flicks. And as opposed to like the original H.P. Lovecraft story, which is a little more like deep and a little more in depth and like
a lot of big words
substance.
that we didn't understand.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Fun fact, Jeffrey Combs, who plays Herbert West, narrated the audiobook.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Jeffrey Combs is great. He's just great in everything he is. He can make like the worst movie be great. Like, I Still You Know What You Did Last Summer. He was probably the best part of that piece of shit.
And he hasn't aged in 20 years.
Yeah, he still looks the same. Yeah, when I first watched Beyond Re-Animator, which came out like, 2002, 2003, he looked exactly the same as he did in the first 2 movies. I was like, man, he still has it. He could still play Herbert West, like it's nobody's business. He's excellent as Dr. West with his reagent formula.
If they do make another Re-Animator movie, they need to do like the Evil Dead meets Re-Animator.
I would love to see Ash Williams and Herbert West together. That would be awesome. Just like the comic book. As much as I think like that's like the second crossover I'd like to see with the Evil Dead series. The first being like Evil Dead and Phantasm, have Ash team up with Reggie and like fight the Deadites, and the Tall Man's little dwarf minions, zombie things, and then. But it'd be also awesome seeing him, fight the Deadites and Herbert West's reanimated corpses.
I just hope they do that. Like it doesn't do in the comic. Like he goes into the mirror, and West is in there. Turns out he's actually possessed by a Deadite.
Oh yeah.
Which was kind of complicated.
It's kind of cool though, because one of them, one of them is brought back by science. The other is brought back by like black magic, or witchcraft or whatever you want to call it, the Necronomicon. Which is also H.P. Lovecraft, so there's kind of a connection there.
One of the interesting things of that's never explained about the zombies in the story is those when they're brought back, all they do is like either they kill somebody or like with the boxer they reanimate. But the first guy they did, which they thought had burned down the house, he just went back to his grave and dug it up and reburied himself for some reason.
Yeah,
and that's never explained.
Well, like in the movie, like when they're first brought back, they're like really hostile and like really aggressive, and like he hasn't perfected the formula yet. He's only he's trying to bring people back from the dead so people can like essentially live forever. Like this is just a prototype. At first, all they want to do is they're like almost brain dead and very violent and very primal, and they just want to like kill each other, and they're not very. But as the movie goes on, he gets a little better at it, and then he kind of drops that concept completely in Bride of Re-Animator when they want to create new life by stitching together cadavers. Yeah.
Spoiler alert. And
if you're watching these movies, you probably already...
It's revealed in the second movie the reason that it doesn't work right in the first movie is he's just pumping into the bloodstream and it's only getting concentrated in the brain. But when he hits the heart, it goes off, passes off through the body completely. It does it a lot better.
Yeah. And like every second costs them results. The more time goes by, the more harder it is to control the revived dead or whatever, and like so that's why they try to do it quickly, like right, verbally right, like with a fresh kill, and I think that's why he like ends up killing people, and he's kind of more of an anti-hero, but he's like so obsessed with his work, and like he's just so into science. And,
I'll show you.
Yeah, and he'll do whatever it takes. Like he'll step on anybody to get to
He'll stitch an arm to a dog for.
Yeah.
Why did he do that?
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, human arm, a dog with a human arm instead of a paw. And like, in the second movie, there's all kinds of these cool, grotesque creations, the little fingers with the eyeball head, and Jeffrey Combs' Herbert West kind of reminds me of Peter Cushing's Dr. Frankenstein in the Hammer Frankenstein movies. I think that he could have maybe been inspired by that when he did his performance, because they were both equally obsessed scientists who want to create new life, and they're just so into their work, and they'll stop at nothing. They'll even kill people to get their way to in the name of science.
One of the things that's not explained is like at the end of the first movie, like the director's cut, he can control them, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, and I always thought it was weird how, like, the villain, Dr. Carl Hill, played by David Gale, the villain in the first two movies, who's essentially just a severed head, like, how he has these mind control powers, and, like, and he can control the zombies perfectly, just by looking at him. It's like, where did he get this ability?
No, I was talking about...
I know
I was talking about West.
I knew you were talking about Herbert West, but I was adding on to that. I was adding mine, like, a different point. But yeah, you're right.
Carl Hill gives a new meaning to...
Giving head, yeah. At the end with Barbara Crampton's character, Meg Halsey, when he's you see a head giving head. It's like it has to be seen to be believed. It's weird how like Dr. West, spoiler alert I guess, but if you're watching this video, you've probably seen the movies, how Dr. West kind of essentially dies at the end of the first two movies. Like Dr. Hill's like intestines burst out of his chest and like actually like attack Dr. West, and then they spill the acid, and Dan Cain goes and tries to resurrect Meg after she was killed by that zombie in the elevator. And like you're essentially like when I first watched that, I was like, okay, well, he was supposed to be killed. Like I know he's not dead because there's a sequel, but this is before Beyond Re-Animator came out.
The interesting part about this is like there's two endings to the first movie. One where he resurrects Meg, you just see the heart going dark, she screams, and the next he's just standing there looking at her. West Could Be Dark says, we can bring her back.
But yeah, that's it.
Or something. I haven't seen the logo.
He says, Dr. Hill couldn't kill me. He didn't have the guts. They should have left that in, because that was funny. So yeah, there was like a kind of an alternate ending where it was shown that he did survive. But in the final cut, in the finished version, the theatrical, which most people have seen, and not the director's cut or the deleted scenes, like,
director
cut's better. Believe he died. Oh, I agree, yeah. It had way more gore. Like, it was the uncut version, way more gore, way more over-the-top, outrageous moments.
One of the things that really, like, the first one made me jump, because I wasn't expecting it, was, like, when he resurrected the cat. And he starts, freaking screaming.
It's so creepy looking, too. Like, it looked so fake, but, like, so, like, real at the same time. Like, it was really, really kind of a cheap effect, but it made it look all the more eerie and twisted. It made it look, all the more freaky.
I noticed about, like, the animals that pop up in these two movies kind of remind me, like, Pet Sematary.
Yeah, especially the cat.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, Pet Sematary was in the first movie with an evil, undead cat in it.
The second one, like, yeah, it made me think Pet Sematary, because that dog's eyes are always glowing, not growing.
And then in Beyond Re-Animator, we have a reanimated evil rat that fights with a severed dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Severed,
Severed
cock is one of the creatures in part 3.
For some reason, like, when you look up this movie, it says it's a Spanish movie, but it's not, which is weird.
Which one?
The third one.
Oh, really? That's weird.
Yeah. It's weird.
I thought it was pretty good, considering. Not as good as the first two, and, I hate that Bruce Abbott didn't return as Dan Cain, but I kind of like the new guy. I didn't mind him, and I love the prison setting. Like, that had, like, a lot of potential for some really gory moments. And their original idea for a part 4, House of Re-Animator, is going to take place in the White House. How cool would that have been? In Washington, D.C., but it was never made. Now it's a little too late. Like, I don't know, it wouldn't work right.
Yeah.
Like, with the way, with the political state of America is now, it'd just be, I don't know.
It was kind of anticlimactic where he just, like, takes that guy's bat and just walks right out the door.
I'm glad they didn't try to kill him off again, though. Like, in part 2, like, he got buried under the rocks, and he was, like, And they didn't really show Carl Hill die, either. He was just, he was a head. He had now bat wings attached to his head, and, like, he kind of got buried under the rocks, too. It's like, whatever happened to him? Did he get crushed by the rocks, or...?
I do like in the second movie, like, when he's digging through all that stuff, he sees him back, like, hello, old friend.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
The actual bride of Re-Animator, the character, she was pretty freaky looking. She had Meg Halsey's heart, and then that other...
I thought it would have been better if she had Meg Halsey's head. That would have been
I know,
cool.
yeah, but they couldn't get Barbara Crampton to return for whatever reason. But she was in From Beyond, which was also directed by Stuart Gordon, and had Jeffrey Combs in it as well. That was like kind of a spiritual successor to Re-Animator. I mean, it was a totally different story, but it was very, very similar, and almost just as good. But Brian Yuzna, I think, wrote all 3 films and directed Bride of Re-Animator, and maybe Beyond Re-Animator too. I think he directed Beyond Re-Animator. Yeah, Brian Yuzna directed it. Sweet. I know the warden or whatever, like they tried to make that like the Dr. Hill character in Beyond. He just wasn't as cool. He wasn't as charismatic of a villain as David Gale's character.
I kind of wish they'd been like consistent with Dan's character through the second movie. Like at the beginning, he's all for this, and halfway he's still kind of for it. At the end, it's like, oh fuck this, I don't want any of that. Like, wait a minute, you were just for it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Maybe mine, Dan.
It's kind of weird how he sticks by Dr. West when, it's pretty much his fault that Megan is dead and, like, all that crazy stuff, the Miskatonic University massacre and stuff, but I guess he feels like he's the only one who can bring her back to life. I don't know why they waited so long, though, but, whatever.
One of the things I wish they would have done with the first movie, when they resurrect the Dean, like, he's just immediately taken off the asylum. In the original story, like, they take him back to their room and do it. He beats the fuck out of them and just runs off, and then spends the next, like, week running around town killing people at night. That would have been something.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, he didn't play much of a big role after he became Re-Animated. Like, he just kind of was a pawn of, Dr. Hill, who was just kind of like a henchman. And then I guess it kind of finally turned good at the end when, he's like, oh, I don't like what they're doing to my daughter. And it's kind of weird seeing him rip his own daughter's clothes off, even though he is a mindless zombie.
Yeah. There's a lot of like stuff in these movies that doesn't really make sense, and
oh yeah,
but it's good natured fun.
Oh yeah, it's good over the top, gory 80s.
Hey, didn't they bring back Dan and that girl from the second movie for like the beginning of the third movie when Wes is like dragged off? I
don't think so.
I couldn't really tell because it wasn't really close up enough to it.
I don't think so. It was just those. When I first watched the first movie, like I thought that one kid with the glasses, I thought that was like a young Herbert West, and that this was like taking place before the events of the first movie. Then it turned out it was actually the other kid was like a young version of his partner, like at the prison, who was pretty much playing. He was like a successor to Dan, to Bruce Abbott's character, Dan Cain. They were trying to replace him pretty much, and I didn't mind that guy. He was no Dan Cain, but he was still pretty cool.
He wasn't much of a supporting character either.
Yeah, well, no, but
Yeah, we talk about Dan flip-flopping back and forth. This guy just couldn't stay straight. He changed his mind
yeah,
every
I know.
5 minutes.
Yeah, Dr. West was just, it was his fault that his sister died, and he's been obsessed with, his sister all these years, and, like, now he has to work with the man who, is responsible for his sister's death. I don't know, it's kind of questionable, like, the way these things serve the plot.
It feels like we just need a third movie. Make something up.
Yeah, pretty much. But I do love the prison setting, and I love, some of the characters. So was it that drug
But I don't
addict
think it
guy
was done,
funny.
like, good enough.
Oh, yeah, not as good as the first two, for sure.
Like the whole big thing, just all the zombies at the end, when they should, like, building up, like, towards it, like, 1 or 2 get locked away and stuff.
Yeah.
They just did
pretty
something.
cool seeing the whole prison get torn apart by the murderous zombies in a rampage, and the Dean trying to hold on. And they had that weird, complicated subplot with, like, the souls, like, he was taking the victim's souls. They had, like, the little electrical thing in the glass, too. Like, I don't know, it was kind of hard to follow. It was kind of convoluted. Like, I didn't even really try to make sense of it. I'm sure it was explained well. I just didn't, And where's the reagent come from, anyway? How does he make it? Like, didn't they hint, like, it came from lizards or something? Like, their ability to regenerate lost limbs, he had something. He was doing something with lizards at the beginning of Bride or Re-Animator, and like I don't know, there's something about reptiles, and then but they never really explained where the glowing green serum comes from.
I think it was like he was taking like something out of their brains that like facilitated like the thing to regrow. I don't know. Oh
yeah, I don't.
They never talked about it. It's fucking stupid.
I don't think they really knew. Like, I don't think they knew how to.
Yeah, again, it's never explained in the story either.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He's learned how to do it.
It's one of those mysterious MacGuffin type things, I guess.
It sounds like one of those things where if we figure out how he does it, it's not going to be interesting anymore.
Yeah, true. Once you understand the mechanics behind how it works, and it takes away the magic and mystique.
I kind of want to know why it glows like bright green, like it's made of depleted uranium or something.
Yeah, or it looks like the inside of those glow sticks.
That's probably what they used.
Yeah, I think they did actually. Yeah, and they had like certain versions of like the DVD that actually came with like that glowing stuff, and like I'd already bought the DVD. I was like, damn it, buy it again, just get one of those things with the syringes full of.
Yeah, so zombie
like
as zombie movies go, these are pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, and I love how like the zombie genre is like full of like there's way too many like with the same story post-apocalyptic world where a plucky band of survivors fights back zombies with boards and nails and sticks with a barbed wire on them, and like they're driving around, the whole place is infested with zombies. I like when zombie movies are like don't follow that formula. Like, aside from, Romero's Dead series, like, I like movies like Re-Animator and Pet Sematary and Dead Alive, and, they don't follow that, typical zombie formula, like, with, the post-apocalyptic, and, I feel like this has been done to death, and it's just so tired, and so, yeah, I respect movies like Re-Animator way more, and Return of the Living Dead, which is my freaking favorite, they don't follow that tired, cliche by the numbers format.
But that did kind of
seeing.
accidentally create a cliche of that they eat brains.
Well, yeah. I kind of like it better. Yeah, I love Return of the Living Dead, but I kind of like it better when zombies just ate humans, like a Night of the Living Dead where they're ripping the people apart and pulling their intestines out and eating them. And then, of course, Day of the Dead where they're eating that one asshole and like just he's like choke on him. They're eating his guts and everything. Then Return of the Living Dead, they just ate their brains. Like I thought it was better when they
I do
ate
like
them
how
completely.
In the original
Carnivorous.
Dawn of the Dead, like they talk about that pregnant girl. She wanted them to like rip like a fake little fetus out and eat it, and they're like, "No, that's too much for us."
Yeah, it's too over the top. They kind of paid homage to that in the remake, in the 2004 version, sort of.
That movie didn't make any fucking sense at all.
Yeah, but anyway, back to Re-Animator. Yeah, I'd love to make a part 4. Even if it's going to be a House of Re-Animator taking place in Washington D.C., whatever they do with it, I want to see a fourth film.
If they do House of Re-Animator, they should cross over with House of the Living Dead. That would be something.
Yeah, the movies kind of sucked. The video games were awesome, but I want to see more of Herbert West, played by Jeffrey Combs. And I want to see a remake. As much as it'd be cool to see like something that's closer to the original story, which they could do that too, as long as they're not going to like discontinue the Herbert West with Jeffrey Combs Re-Animator saga.
If they do like a kind of reboot, just have Jeffrey Combs pop up at the end where like the young Herbert West we've been following is like a clone of him or something. That'd be something.
It's an imposter.
Well, I really have things to say.
Yeah, I think we about covered it. I mean, all these movies are really fun, really enjoyable. I know some people have problems with them for not being as close to the original story and, not being quite as serious, but I love really amusing, like, popcorn flicks like this. I just have a blast when I watch these movies, I'll always love them. It's one of my favorite horror trilogies as well, which, hopefully someday it won't be a trilogy anymore. Hopefully they'll make more. They had a bunch of ideas in store. There was one that was going to be called, I think it was going to be like a prequel showing how he became interested in science and how he, first developed this formula, which I don't know if I really care about seeing that because it'd be a different actor probably playing the younger West. And there's also one where he was going to fall in love, which I always felt like Dr. West was a character that didn't have time for women. He didn't care. He just thought that they got in the way and they slowed him down with his progress. So I kind of like that. He has no time for romance. All he cares about is his work.
I would like
That's
to see
his love.
Like he gets with a girl, like, feigns interest, but then it's real at the end, like, oh no, I just needed you for your body parts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I could see that. But he's always, like, helping people. His partners are always, like, especially Dan Kane always, like, wanting a girlfriend, always being, like, the romance thing. Well, Herbert just, his love.
I would, though, kind of like to see, like, something that would explain, like, how he changed the formula to the Re-Animator from where it makes somebody's head, explode.
Yeah.
To actually reanimate them right.
Well, they kind of did in Beyond Re-Animator. Like he did the thing with the soul or whatever. And then they were kind of in control. The zombies were a little more, they weren't as brain dead. They could actually talk and communicate and actually understood stuff. And they were essentially just, but they were still like evil though. They were still like pure evil. So never could figure out that part. Of course, madness is going to ensue. He's never going to get it totally right because then it wouldn't be fun.
Something else I want to explain, how did Hill come back with, still being smart and all that when all the other zombies, a bunch of
Yeah, he could still talk and stuff. That didn't make sense. Maybe it was part of, his mind power, his hypnosis. He had that weird mind power. He could control people. He could hypnotize them just by looking at them. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe
that was a power?
I don't know. It's it was never really fully explained. It
I
was
like
kinda
know how
weird.
he can
Kinda
control his
lazy
body when
writing.
he's no longer hooked to it.
Yeah, I know, and he can still talk with no vocals, severed vocal cords and no lungs and stuff. But, you gotta turn your brain off for some of these things. You gotta suspend your disbelief a little bit. I love seeing a severed head, talking. Yeah, I always wondered that too. Yeah, the other zombies are just like mindless, brain-dead drones who are easily manipulated because they're so stupid. But yeah, he's still like a genius, and he can still talk, and he's a mastermind. He controls all the other zombies. It's never really fully explained, but whatever. He's still an awesome villain. So, and he looks just like John Kerry. So do with that what you will.
Okay, I think we covered everything pretty nicely.
Yeah, I think that about does it. Check these movies out if you haven't seen them already. Sorry if we spoiled anything, but again, you shouldn't watch this video if you haven't already seen them. Yeah, hopefully we'll get a part 4 someday. I'd love to see more of Herbert West, played by Jeffrey Combs. Hopefully Ryan Yesna and Stuart Gordon or whoever makes it happen, because that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So, alright guys, well, thank you for watching our Re-Animator video. Again, check out our Evil Dead video if you haven't already. So this is probably like the second popular horror franchise episode that we've made. And look out for other popular horror franchises that we'll be covering in the future. So,
Yep.
So stay tuned for that. I'm Hellhound.
I'm Spellbinder.
And until next time.